A very good morning to you and welcome. I woke up this morning with an old hymn going through my mind. I love songs, worship songs, whether they're old or new. They put words to music, and for me, being a bit of a musician, words combined with melody add such depth to the words and make the words much easier to remember. We remember words, and I'm so grateful that a lot of the songs we sing are based on scripture, and some of them are pure scripture. But this particular one has always been a favourite in the Christian church. I don't think there's any branch of the church that doesn't use this one. But and it was a phrase in this hymn that was going round my head when I woke up this morning. My thoughts had started, let me say, with the changes that are going on in our world at this moment. There's parts of our United Kingdom that are approaching this virus problem differently, and I think Wales and Northern Ireland are going to be really locked down very severely again for 2 or 3 weeks, and areas of our nation are being closed down more to try and stop the advance of this virus. Now, we all know that this virus is going to go through the whole population sooner or later, but the big problem they're trying to solve is how to maintain enough healthcare resources to treat those who become ill. And that is the thing they're trying to battle with, not trying to stop us getting it, really, but trying to stop our National Health Service being overwhelmed with people who need ventilation, especially as we go into winter. And I know from working in the hospitals that the hospitals get incredibly full in the wintertime when the weather turns adverse and people fall and have accidents and get flu and influenza and pneumonia, and they need to be in hospital. And if all the beds are taken up with COVID patients, quite rightly, there will be not the capacity to care for everyone who needs caring for. So we do need to be careful. This is not meant to be a news broadcast. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone on, but it's been on my mind, as I'm sure it's been on your mind. And my thought was, everything's changed again. It's gone back, almost back to where it was. And the figures are worse than they were in March when we locked down to begin with. Everything has turned. And the phrase that was going through my head was, "There is no shadow of turning with thee." Now there's a poser. Which hymn is it? And so, there'll be 1 or 2 of you who'll be like me. If you haven't got the first line of the hymn, you can't remember. You have to sing all the way through it till you get to a line that tells you what the hymn is. I'll put you out of your misery. It's "Great is thy faithfulness." Let me just read the whole hymn. It's wonderful. And this changing scene that we live in made me think of how unchangeable God is. Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. And verse 3 says, "Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow, blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness." Perhaps look it up, find it in your old hymn book if you've got one. Look it up on the internet, or remember it as you sing your way through it. Those words They are so beautiful. It was written some while ago by someone called Chisholm who lived from 1866 to 1960. It's not an old hymn, but it's an older hymn. And it was this phrase, there is no shadow of turning with thee. The circumstances in which we live change and turn. And as they change, there's more shadow. You know, I think you think about, we're in autumn now, and if I didn't have this light on, I don't think you'd be able to see me, because I'd be in the shadow, because the sun's turning has changed and there's more shadow than there was. But with God, there is no shadow of turning. He doesn't turn away from us. His attitude towards us does not turn with the seasons or with his mood. There is no shadow of turning with thee. And I don't know about you, I don't know if you'd know where that phrase comes from. I thought it came from the original verse on which that hymn is based, which is in Lamentations. I think we might look at that tomorrow. But it comes from James chapter 1 and verse 17. James 1:17. And in my Revised Standard Version it says, for every good endowment and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. There is no change in God. There's no change. There's no turning. There's no variation. God is the one constant in our lives. Everything else is variable and changes. But God is constant. God is faithful. Great is thy faithfulness. There is no shadow of turning with thee. If anything ever changes in our lives, it's not because God has changed or moved. It's because we have. So, turn your face to him, because his face is turned towards you. Have a look at that hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.